Hey, this is Paul Payton with Focal Splash, and today we're going to take this picture and create this picture. I was asked to show how I would composite a dinosaur into a wedding photo. This has been done quite a bit, and some people still like it and want it done to their wedding photos because they see how fun it is. And that's what we're going to do today, just to show not only how to composite a dinosaur into a wedding photo, but would allow you to composite just about anything into anything, as long as there's some rules that we follow about perspective and lighting and such the like. Alright, so the first thing I'd like to do is just go ahead and take this photo. It's a raw format, but it's from an older camera, and we're gonna just click here and go to auto and see what that gives us. That added just a hair of magenta and brought some yellows into it. First of all, when auto sync is selected, you want to make sure that this is the only one that we're working on, because I don't really want to brighten this one up or mess with this the final that I have here. So make sure that this is the only one selected, and then we can click on auto, and that brought the yellows up just a little bit, added a slight bit of magenta. I'm fine with that for now, and hit auto here. That brightened it up. So all kinds of things you can do with this. This isn't a Lightroom tutorial, so we're just going to move right on from here into Photoshop. I select both of them and hit Control E. Alright, now we're in Photoshop, and what we're going to do here, we're going to try and put this guy right here. So we're going to have to cut him out. And from my experience, with a situation like this, it's easier to use the quick select tool and then select what we don't want. Just select this out here, right here, and here, and here. We don't want that. It's going to get a little harder down here because the colors are matching, but we can just reselect what it deselects. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Go ahead and remember, we are selecting not the subject, but the background, and deselecting the subject. So you have to remember that while you're doing this. You get it backwards. Alright, getting pretty close here. Alright, we have a fairly good wrapped around selection here. I'm going to hit Control Shift I, and that's going to invert the selection to now the subject is selected, and hit Select and Mask up here. Just look at our selection. We know we got some issues. I didn't finish the tail or the feet. Generally it looks pretty good. We can put it on a black background for now, and raise the opacity and lower the opacity so we can see it. Z, and then zoom in here. I'm going to choose the brush tool for now, hitting Alt, and I'm going to just brush this edge right here. Like that. And just get a little bit refined in here before we go to the refine tool. The refine edge tool has a little difficulty with this because there's not really a good solid edge on this, which can be helpful for us. If we don't have to be exact, then we don't have to be exact. Photoshop motto for you guys: if it looks right, it is right. That's the way it is in Photoshop, because all in all it comes down to how it looks, right? Alright, just for now, just like that. And interesting JPEG artifacts here that got selected. Very interesting. All right, so from here, I'm going to just select just a little bit more. And we're going to take the edge and smooth it just a little bit. Just a little bit, 5. And then feather out to 1. Let's see how that works. You can see what feather's doing. It's causing a halo, which we don't really want that, right? So contrast is going to bring that halo in. So between feather and contrast, we have that. And then shift edge. We're going to shift the edge in until that kind of goes away. I like that. And now we can look around and see if we see much of an edge. There's an edge there. We're going to have to adjust this some. Holding the Alt key, I'm erasing. So, is this a selection tutorial? I don't know. You know, something you have to do if you want to make good selections. So, alright. We're deselecting the claw here. Alright, let's see what the Refine Edge tool will do. Alright, let's just see what we got out here. Yeah, that's what I thought. We're not, especially down there, we're not really going to get what we want. But over here, we may actually be able to do better due to the fact that the sky is that much different than the subject. Especially these ridges up here, you can see them coming out. They weren't there, not selected, and now they are. Refine Edge is a two-edged sword. Sometimes it works really well, and sometimes it makes a mess. I like the way that looks. That looks better to me. Okay. See, just painting it in. If it looks right, it is right. Alright, now let's see what we have here. This is still not selected properly. So this is something you'll do is just go ahead and refine your selection until you like it. And I like it. Alright, then I would create a new layer. Alright, just like that. He's up on his own layer. And without further ado, hit V for the move tool, which is right here. And just drag him right up into this picture. Oh, he's so cute and small back there. Wow, I wonder if we just put him back there. Oh, that's really nice. Let's make him bigger. We'll make him bigger. Something like that maybe. And I'm going to flip him around. Right click here or control click and then flip horizontal. That way he's looking right at the bride and the bride's looking at him. I think that's a good composition. And this time I'm going to make him a little, I don't know, I can even make him a little bigger here. Because the bride's not looking back there very much. The bride's looking almost straight up, although we're not going to have him look like he's straight up. That would be running here on top of that woman. So we'll just put him behind her. I'd like to have the subject, the composition overlap things. I don't want just to be, you know, out here where it fits perfectly and doesn't have to, you know, it doesn't interact. But this way it interacts with the rest of the picture. And just a little smaller. I'd say something like that for me. Looks good. So hit enter. That kind of locks him into place. And what we'll do is I'll create a new layer, Control J, a copy of this one, and I'll just turn that one off, kind of saving that layer just in case I mess things up. Alright, and then we'll go to click on the layer mask, hit B for the brush tool. We're painting in black. Make the brush larger. It's got a soft edge on it, which is okay for the speedy work here. But we're going to have to make that edge harder when we get in here. And zooming in. To zoom in, I hold the Z key down and then move the mouse back and forth. To move the canvas, I hold the space bar down and move it around. So I use the bracket keys to make the brush smaller, and just going to brush it off of here. The way I like to do this is to go ahead and brush off too much so I can see the edge of whatever I need to match up the edge with, and then with the X key I'll be painting in white, make my brush smaller and paint it back in right around where I think it should be, and then X again, paint it away, something like that. You notice there's lots of noise right here on the original image, and no noise but some blur on the image we're compositing in. So we'll have to work on that in a moment. So yeah, it's not going to look right if one part is shiny and blurry, but the other part is got a lot of noise. So holding shift bar down, coming over here, and doing the same thing. Just put this hand behind her, and I'll just go to the edge, find her hair. Be interesting if that claw is sticking out there. We'll just get rid of those claws. And I would paint it back in with X just to match up the edge. Alright, we'll leave it like that. So zooming back out, take a look at what we have. Alright, we have something over here too. So zooming in here, and black brush, we'll go ahead and paint this away. Get her chin back, and then with the white brush, a little bit smaller here, we'll put it back under her chin. Again, just paint this right like this. We want it, I think it's on her shoulder here too. Alright, oh, look at that. Alright, with the black brush on the layer mask, we'll go ahead and find the edge of these flowers. Does that look legit? It might look alright once we're done here. So there we have the basic selection and pasting in and putting behind the subject. Alright, so really a lot of people would just say, well, there you go, done. But I like to take things in compositing just a little further. So what I'm going to do is, again, make another copy of this, and just to save that. And I'm going to make a selection by hitting Control and clicking on the layer mask. I'm going to click back on this layer and hit Control J. And that should pop him up on his own layer without a layer mask or anything like that. Hit V. You can see I can move him around. I got two of them. Alright, and I could turn it off right there. And now I have him. And I can place him wherever I want. But I don't really want to move him, so let's put him back where he was. And now that I have him up on his own layer, I'm going to create another layer of that. And on this layer, I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Color Match. I'm going to try and get him to match the color of the background. And this is the background. And so this is the colors that are being pulled from the green here and all around. These are the colors. So lower the color intensity a little bit, and up the fade. Fade is like opacity. Luminance will bring it down. And you see we're changing this color to match the lighting in the scene. Alright? And I'm thinking he matches better like that. Alright, so we have what he was before and what he is now. If you can see, there is a color matching there. And if you don't like it, you want to mix the colors, you can drop this opacity here. I kind of like his color the way it is. Alright, so let's zoom in, pixel peep a little bit here, and we can see he's kind of blurry and she is noisy. So let's work on that. Just go to Filter, and then Noise, Add Noise. Alright, and I have the amount set to 4 here because I did this before. And just look at the noise, the pixel size of the noise, and how much noise there is. And we see, you know, that matches pretty good. Let's bump the amount up so we can see we could add, you know, so much noise it's ridiculous. We can add uniform noise, or Gaussian noise, or color noise, right? All these are possibilities. We just add a little bit of noise. See, there's not color noise here. This is a uniform monochromatic noise, so we don't want to add color noise. Just like that. So I'm thinking 4 was the number I chose before, and that looks pretty good. So zooming out, you know, when you zoom out big, you won't really see the noise much, but your eye is smarter than you, and it sees stuff and doesn't know why something doesn't look right, but it might not look right. So we've got those two things. Now let's do something I learned from Flern, and I composite check layers here. All right, and I'm going to turn on this one, turn these off. So I've just made it black and white. There's bunches of ways to make stuff black and white, but channel mixer is one. And notice in the black and white, we have really black here, some really dark blacks, and the blacks in the picture just aren't really that dark. I don't know if you can notice that or not, but it's something I do see. When the picture is like this, you know, it's kind of harder for me to see that. And that's just color gets in my way. I was wondering if I'm partially colorblind or something, but you know, it's easier to look at stuff in black and white sometimes. And so then on this layer, I'm going to go ahead and create a curves adjustment layer, and clicking this will attach it to that layer, make it a clipping mask. And let's first of all just brighten it up a little bit, trying to match the scene. It's a little too contrasty for the rest of the scene, so we will bring up the the blacks and bring down the whites a little bit. And something like that. And then you can turn off channel mixer and see if these contrastiness is matching the scene, and I think it is. Maybe add a little bit more black. Alright. And so we've got color matching. Doing okay. He's a little gray right now. And we've got contrast matching here. Alright. Let's look to see if he's blurry enough. And it looks like he might be blurry enough. Something else we want to look at is to make sure that the blur is right. We'll oversaturate it, and then we can look at the levels of saturation. And see, this is something I was saying. He's not as saturated as they are. The colors. So he does not have enough color in him. So I'm going to go to this layer again. I'll turn these off for now. And create a hue and saturation layer. And give him some more color. So that he is just as saturated as they are. Clipping. So there, we got them oversaturated, and properly saturated might be, maybe there. So let's look and see if he looks right. Maybe slightly too saturated. So we'll give him a little bit less saturation here. And call that good. Okay, so we have the saturation the way I think it should be. We have the contrast good. Alright. And the color is working for me. So to me, looks like he's right there in the picture. Let's do something else here. We'll go back to this layer again, and on top of that we'll create a new layer and use a gradient. So we'll take this and we'll say go from black to transparent, and try that while it's soft light. Alright, so then we can put a little shadow down there on him, and just for fun I'll lower the opacity on that. We don't want him to be too dark because the direction of the sunlight is overcast. It's not really affecting this. And so I would say, for the purposes of showing you how to do this, I think that's pretty good. Next thing I would do is just hit File, Close, and Save. And this one will just close. I'll save it just because I want to. Alright, and like I said, this is not a Lightroom tutorial, so I won't go into what else I would do to this image. Alright, there's before and after, before and after. If you like what I did, let me know. If you don't like what I did, let me know. I did some other things that I'd left out of this video with the other composition, just for fun. You can see that my color choices were a little bit different. I broke a light pole over here and knocked a stop sign over. That's just some fun stuff you can do. Alright, so there it is. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Leave a comment either on Facebook or on YouTube, and let me know if there's a better way to do it. Thanks. Bye.